Welcome to our comprehensive course on AI mastery. I'm excited to guide you through this transformative journey into the world of artificial intelligence. In this course, we'll explore fundamentals and practical applications of AI and how they're reshaping our world. Hi, my name is Uchenna Anyikam, and I've been working in product development, control systems, AI, and automation for over 15 years in my professional career. In that time, I've learned that these tools can be leveraged to make our lives and our goals significantly easier to accomplish and a lot more enjoyable. While all too often, these tools can come off as intimidating or scary to people that are interested in learning them, there's no better time than now to learn these tools where the barrier of entry is lower than ever. Over the next 10 to 14 days, you'll gain a deep understanding of AI technologies, their applications, and how to leverage them effectively. We'll cover everything from basic concepts to advanced implementations, focusing on practical skills that you can apply right away. The way that I've structured this course is designed so that it can be both comprehensive and easy to pick up. So whether you're a complete beginner or you have some AI experience, you'll find a lot of really cool insights and practical stuff here that you can work on immediately. We'll explore like real world examples, some hands-on activities and exercises, and maybe even look at some case studies that demonstrate like AI's impact across various different industries. And at the end of this course, you'll have a really good understanding of core concepts of AI and be able to identify areas and opportunities where AI can be really useful in your field and have the confidence to engage with AI tools and technologies effectively. So let's transform the way you think about the world and artificial intelligence. Okay, so first off, let's dive into understanding a really key distinction between two terms that you hear a lot in the technical world and things you're probably already a little familiar with now: AI and automation. Now, these terms are often used interchangeably, but they actually represent different concepts and things that our machines and our systems can do that are really important to understand. So let's start with automation first. Think of automation like a set of predefined rules and procedures that execute specific tasks repeatedly, like a code list or it's a checklist, right? It's like a washing machine. Like it's designed to set and follow a preset cycle. It's really good at what it does. It's efficient, but it's pretty inflexible. You can't really change it. Automation's been around for decades, since like the Industrial Revolution, and it's been really good at helping us streamline repetitive tasks so that we can work more efficiently. Now, on the other hand, artificial intelligence represents a significant leap forward. So unlike automation, AI systems can learn, adapt, and make decisions based on patterns and experiences. It's like they can take that checklist and actually start looking at the checklist and doing new things with it. So they can handle things like uncertainty or complexity or just bumps in the road as it goes along the way in ways that traditional automation just can't do. So imagine a system that not only just washes clothes, but kind of learns from every single cycle and changing the settings and adjusting based off of the specific needs of the garments it detects and things like that. And again, you wouldn't have taught the machine this. It would have taught itself. Now, the key difference lies in the ability to handle that variability and learn new situations. So while automation excels and is really good at consistent rule-based tasks, AI really shines in scenarios that require judgment, pattern recognition, and adapting to new circumstances and new information. So understanding this distinction is crucial to identifying which technology best suits different business needs and challenges. So as we go through this course, you'll learn how to leverage both AI and automation effectively to work on projects and things for fun. These two technologies work together so well, and I'm really excited to kind of show you how they do it. All right, so let's talk about something that's really changing the game: GPT models. Now, I'm sure you've already heard of these, but let's assume that you haven't. I'll break it down for you. So GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And all that means it's a type of AI that understands and generates human language. So you can think of it like a tool that can read, write, and even hold conversations like a person. It's not perfect, but it's pretty impressive. So let me show you how these models work with something familiar. Now, you know the game Wheel of Fortune. So if you see something like, I heard a dog blank, right? Your brain sees the B and immediately thinks bark. You don't need to see all the letters because you know so much about the language that you can predict what comes next. It's more likely that bark is going to be the next word. And you see the B, so the next thing you're probably going to write is ARK. And that's exactly what GPT models do. They've been pre-trained on massive amounts of text and language so that they can actually predict the next letter or the next word with surprising accuracy. So letter by letter and word by word, they build sentences that sound like something a human would say. You know how sometimes you're stuck trying to write an email and you just can't find the right words? Well, you can use a GPT to help you draft that email in seconds. Or maybe you have a project and you need some ideas to get started. A GPT can help you brainstorm. It's like having a really smart assistant there to help you at all times. And you've even probably heard these things as called AI assistants. But here's the thing. GPT models aren't just for writing. People don't even know that it can do a lot more than that. And they're being used in all kinds of ways. Like, for instance, they can translate languages. They can summarize long documents. They can even help you program and code and even troubleshoot and find bugs. And it's not just about work. They're using these models in everyday life. You know those chatbots you see at websites to help you with finding a product or asking general questions? A lot of those are powered by GPTs now. They're helping people get answers faster, and whether it's a product or service or even technical support. But here's the part I really want you to think about. AI, especially tools like GPTs, aren't just for big companies and tech experts. They're for you. And these tools are becoming more accessible every single day. And they can help you become more productive, innovative, and even more creative. So whether you're a student or a professional, or just someone who's curious about technology, there's a way for you to use AI to your advantage. A lot of people worry about AI removing creativity. And as any technological innovation comes up, that will happen. But AI is a tool to actually bolster creative minds. Now, I'm not saying AI is perfect. It has its limitations and it gets a bunch of stuff wrong. So it's important to understand those. But when used in the right way, it can be really powerful. All right, that's it for right now. Let's take some time to think about what we discussed, and let's build on this and see where this all takes us. Okay, so let's talk about how to get the most out of this program. This thing is going to be fast-paced and hands-on, so I want to give you some tips to help you succeed. I tend to talk fast sometimes, so if you need to rewind and go back, then please do so. There's literally nothing stopping you. Now, first things first, you need to stay engaged. This isn't the kind of course where you can sit back and watch or do it while you're cooking or something like that. You've got to experiment with these AI tools as we go. Don't just take my word for it. I want you to test it out yourself and work along with me. Pause the video and go do those things. Try different prompts, see what works, and more importantly, see what breaks. That's how you really learn stuff. So I would expect that you would find a nice quiet place or a comfortable place where you can actually have your laptop out, multiple windows, or if you're at a PC with multiple monitors, that would probably be even better. Another thing that's really important, take notes and compare the AI results as we move through different topics. One thing you'll notice pretty quickly is that AI models tend to generate different outputs even with the exact same input. Learning how to refine these prompts is really, really important. So sometimes you'll get something that's not quite right and you need to figure out how to adjust your input to get better results. This is a skill, and like any other skill, it takes practice. And please, if there's any questions, if you're taking this course with others, or if there's a community forum somewhere else online, use it. Share your insights. Ask questions. Okay, let me break down how the course is going to be structured. I divided the course so that basically each day you have a short set of video lectures explaining key concepts in AI, kind of like what we're doing right now. You may even have hands-on assignments that help to apply what you've learned. And you'll also have quick quizzes throughout the course to reinforce your understanding. I know, but trust me, I'm trying to keep it fun and engaging, so there's small things that don't take a lot of time that you might find pretty interesting. So AI is constantly evolving, and this course will empower you to stay current, but also learn how to get ahead. I'm not just teaching you how to use these tools as they exist today. I'm teaching you how to think about AI and how to adapt to these tools and how to leverage AI to solve real-world problems. So if you're ready, let's get started. Advanced GPT and AI use cases. Right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get into chatgpt.com. If you don't have an account, you can create an account. It's pretty easy. Okay, first let's go over the UI. In ChatGPT, you'll see in this top corner, these are your models. These are different types of AI, instructions that are good at doing different tasks, right? One of the really good ones that I like using is GPT 4.0. It's kind of general purpose. So for the most part, just using this one will cover most of the use cases you want. And so what we talked about was that Deep GPT is really good at doing a lot of different things, not just, writing emails or something like that. So we're going to look at how to use GPT in more advanced configurations, in more advanced ways. So let's assume that I have a e-commerce store, and my e-commerce store sells different clothing. One of the things that someone like is copy with e-commerce. Now, generating copy with ChatGPT is actually pretty easy, but one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that ChatGPT is multimodal. What that means, it can read text, but it can also understand things like audio. It can understand different text files, Excel spreadsheets. And in this case, for our e-commerce store, we want to understand pictures. So I have a top here. This is the shirt that I want to sell here. And I have it on the file. So what I can do is I can just drag that file directly into my ChatGPT. And then I can say something like, give me a short and then a robust description for this item. And this item, I'm going to say it's the top, as it will appear on an online e-commerce store. And what it will do is it will read this information and it will give me a short product description here, right? So here's my short description, and then here's my longer, more robust description. Okay. And that, if you look at it, it is based off of just the top here. If I would have give me the description to everything she's wearing, it would have looked at the pants and then kind of inferred what the rest of the pants or the tights look like. So it's correct. This is actually a top that's used for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just workouts. So it didn't know anything about that. It just took this picture and it made the description, and the description's relatively accurate. But, I'm like, okay, well, I look on a lot of e-commerce sites and I see that it has like specifications or technical details about the material. And then I can paste like something I found from like another website, technical features, line construction for durability and comfort. And I like talking to GPT like I talk to a friend of mine. Hey, can you just do this real quick? Or, hey, okay, I like that, but not like this. I don't have to formalize it. I kind of be just myself, and GPT will pick up on those. So again, I said redo it, but add a section for specifications like the one found on this other page with a similar style and format. So it's going to redo the whole thing, but it's going to add this section. So here's a short product description. And then here's the longer product description again. And then it should add the, specifications, more technical stuff after that. There you go. Boom. Right there. And as you can see, it's not the same as it is here, but it takes the image and it infers what features the image would have. Right? Perfect for those things. Okay. Now, what I would do is I would just go into my WordPress, whatever my Shopify is, and I would just copy and paste these things in. Like GPT also remembers what you have done. So if I just paste another picture in there and I'll say, hey, do the same for this, it'll do the exact same thing. What I want to point out is that GPT is multimodal, and that you have to be careful, because just because you give it the exact same information, it might not give you the exact same output. So the same input doesn't mean the same output. So in this case, the short description was elevate your train with this high performance long sleeve crop top. And this one starts off the train hard and stand out with this high performance long sleeve crop top. So what I like to do is when I do things like this, I kind of look at it and kind of pick and choose which ones that I like, a piece of this one, a piece of that one, or I'll write in the part that I like that's missing. So I might run this a couple of times to see which one I like. And over time, GPT will, if I say, I like this style, right? I could say, I like this style. Please remember. One of the things that ChatGPT did was it incorporated like temporary user memory. And so if I say something like that, it will actually update the memory and be able to, so it says memory updated. Got it. I'll keep this style in mind for future e-commerce product descriptions. Let me know if there's any adjustments. And so it'll remember that I can close this, come back tomorrow and say, hey, I need another e-commerce description. And they'll give me the short, the long, and then the specifications. But I run an e-commerce store and I have a lot of products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag into ChatGPT multiple products here. And I'm going to say I need this done for all 4 of these products. And again, it will go in, look at the pictures, and it will assess kind of in context what the pictures are about, and then give me my description, my full out description. This is a way that, anybody who's run an e-commerce site knows how boring content generation is. But if I didn't use this multimodal feature, I would have to think about the article of clothing, describe the article of clothing, and do all those things. And that's not very fun. Okay. So this is a way that I can generate a lot of descriptions for all my products. I have my Shopify open like on the other window or in another tab. And then I can just kind of go through boom, 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 and just get everything done relatively quickly, set my site and my descriptions up pretty easy. And so that is how we can use GPT's multimodal functions in order to help us out in a lot of our, tasks that we need to get accomplished. All right. So again, we're going with this e-commerce theme, but again, you can always apply these things to whatever you're doing. I really like this item here. I need to make some social media posts, and anybody who runs a business, unless you're a special kind of person, I hate social media. It's not the thing. It's not part of my generation, but I do recognize it as an absolute necessary component that you have a strong social media presence. And so how do I work on something that I don't like doing? I find smart ways to do it. So I come in here, I put the image in, and I say, make 10 social media posts, 1 for Twitter, and then another for Instagram for this item. Make it catchy and use relevant hashtags for fighting, MMA, kickboxing, fitness, and the Fit Fam community. I want like 7 hashtags for IG. Use those words above without hashtags for Twitter, because I've learned that Twitter actually doesn't use hashtags, or hashtags don't actually help out with the search algorithm of Twitter. It's better to just have the words at the bottom of your tweet than use hashtags. So I'll make 10 posts. Now, we're going to get into this a little later, but I use social media scheduling software. And so what I would do is I would just have that software open on the side, and then I would kind of copy and paste these things in along with the picture that it goes in, schedule all my posts, and then boom, I got my content generation, basic tier 1 content generation strategy down, just completely down. So that's just a quick bite for the social media part, but I will show you the rest of that part later. All right, so now we're going to get into, hold on, let me check this real quick. Okay, so now we're going to get into something that is a little bit more niche. We're going to talk about sentiment analysis, and we're going to talk about transcription. So what ChatGPT is really good at, it's really good at getting an idea or good feel of what is going on within a particular conversation and things like that. So we're going to paint a scenario where a friend of mine and I had a really good conversation on WhatsApp. We had a really good conversation on WhatsApp, and we came up with an awesome business idea, and we want to kind of strike while the iron's hot and launch this business in, the next like 6 weeks or so. What I did was I went on WhatsApp web, and let's say I copied the entire conversation. And the entire conversation, what I want to do is I want to paste that whole conversation in here and then ask ChatGPT some questions about it. So I'm going to say, boom, I'm going to go into ChatGPT and I'm going to say, okay, my friend and I came up with an awesome idea for business in our chat conversation this morning. We're super excited, and we want to run it by you and help us draft some initial documents and whatnot. I'm pasting the conversation below in its entirety. And then I paste the whole conversation, okay? This is the whole conversation we had about this really cool business idea. And so I'm going to say, can you summarize the business idea and then give me a SWOT analysis of it? Then give me your recommendations on if this is a good idea or not. Do this before anything else. And I did that because I asked for a good way of how to start the business. Now that I think about it, I just want to run the idea by ChatGPT. Okay. And so it looked at the conversation and I got an idea of the business plan. The business plan is called Once a Block of Time. And it's a nostalgic internet experience designed for retro tech enthusiasts. So the idea is that it's a subscription-based service that offers authentic dial-up internet to people for retro purposes. You got the 14.4 and the 28.8 connections. It runs on Explorer 4. You can make GeoCities and AOL websites. I dated myself, but I don't care. This is the idea, right? And you have a USB dongle that will, throttle your internet service or whatever. Here are the strengths and here are the weaknesses. Opportunities and threats. That's what SWOT stands for. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. Okay, so I accidentally asked it to give me a SWOT analysis, like special weapons and tactics for the police, but it knew I was talking about SWOT. So that was a mistake I genuinely made, but it was smart enough to pick up on that. And so, it can recommend a couple of different things. So I say, help us create a schedule for starting this business with the goal of soft launching in the next 6 weeks. I want to be able to identify how we go from 0 to running. How much initial investment will we expect to spend, and ideas on how to raise money, and anything else we miss. Break it down into 2-week blocks. So week 1 to 2, finalize the business model, research technical feasibility, target audience, make a lean business plan, figure out what your MVP is, do mock-ups and wireframes, and then it gives me cost per block. Okay. So I said, thank you. But here's the issue I have. I said, we're pretty busy people, but have enough money to hire an executive assistant to act on our behalf and according to our wishes. We want to offer a competitive salary, but I want to make sure that the person we bring on has a solid background in the industry they plan to work in. Help us come up with a detailed job description as well as a competitive salary for a full-time technical executive assistant so we can post it. So again, it can look at all the information that's going on and it can recommend what a job position would look like, requirements, responsibilities, and things like that. And so this is really good for planning out or creating action plans using information that is key to the success of your business or whatever endeavor you are undertaking. You may be planning a birthday party, you may be planning a trip, you may be trying to soft launch a software product, or you might try to, figure out how to market it more effectively. This is a great way to get started. So we got our information. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to actually fast forward about a year or 2 into the future and see how this business exactly is doing in our next session. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at ChatGPT's data analysis capabilities. So I have here with me the financials for our company, Once a Block of Time, and those financials are stored in a PDF file, right? These are stored in this PDF file. And it gives me the month of the revenue, expenses, and net revenue for Once a Block of Time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this file and I'm going to drag this PDF of our financials into my ChatGPT. Now, what I want to do is I want ChatGPT, remember it's multimodal, so it actually can understand these things. I say visualize and summarize from an earnings and growth perspective. And it will read the document, analyze the document, and then display the results of that analysis. Take a while. There's a little caret right here. If you drop it down, it kind of shows you what's going on. And what it's doing is it's actually writing Python code and running a Python script where it creates an array of the months and then assigns those to the gross values and expenses. And that will allow it to actually start plotting and start manipulating the data to derive insights from it. So it takes the information that's flattened on a PDF and automatically breaks it into something that's a little bit more actionable and something that's much more useful to us than just a big data table full of the information. So the analysis is finished. In January, we made a gross revenue of $5,000. Our expenses were $15,000, and that puts us at a net revenue of negative $10,000. And here's my net revenue. So company's not doing too bad. So the financial summary and growth analysis for the company, it says that the initial loss was a net loss in early 2023. Our most significant loss occurred in January. It was $10,000. But in May, a couple months later, 4 or 5 months later, the company turned a profit of $1,000, indicating a shift in the financial health. Strong revenue growth, expenses, trends, profitability, and what to do to grow, and some next steps and action items. And so this is just a good number of the things that we can do with ChatGPT. The other competitors can do something very similar, but we will get into ChatGPT's competitors in the next session. So now we're going to talk about the big 3 text generation GPTs out there. And that is ChatGPT, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, Google's Gemini, and Anthropic's Claude AI. So we'll start with ChatGPT. We've kind of talked about that a little bit. ChatGPT is really good at creative writing and actually coming up with generalized responses for like brainstorming or even marketing material. One of the big things that ChatGPT is really good for is it has multiple models that are good for lots of different things. So they have they're always evolving and coming out with new ones that are better. So each of these tools have the basic version, which is free, and then a paid version, which gives you a lot more features and a lot better models, the ability to choose your models. ChatGPT also has a unique feature that you can kind of train your own GPT to be experts on a particular item or subject that a lot of other tools don't exactly have yet. So this is kind of the all-around good to have GPT. And this is the one that I use the most. All right, so next up we have Google's Gemini. It's located at gemini.google.com. Now, Gemini is a really good GPT tool. Their free version is actually very good as well, too. They also have the ability to kind of go between different types of models that specialize in different things. It's all kind of right there. Gemini is made by Google, so one of the things that Gemini really, really puts in front of everything, more so than the other ones, is the ability to actually provide accurate data. They're really good at fact-checking information and making sure that whatever it gives you is as close to accurate as possible. It actually dives very deep into topics. If you ask it about like history, if you ask it about current events or, mathematics or anything, it does a really good job of diving really deep into it and making sure that it gives a very thoughtful, accurate, and well-versed solution or response to whatever you're talking about. So the downside of Gemini is that Gemini tends to prioritize fact-checking and doesn't really prioritize creativity in my experience. So I'm not really going to go to Gemini if I'm looking for, marketing material or, a creative story or for brainstorming, because Gemini is more fact-based and is really good for more business type applications that don't really require too much creativity or thinking outside of the box. That's not to say that Gemini is a bad tool. Gemini is a good tool. It's just important to know what that tool specializes in and what that tool needs to be used for. Okay, so rounding off the big 3, we have the new kid on the block, Claude by Anthropic AI. Claude is actually a very good tool. Claude specializes in actually creating very nuanced takes on very complicated and sensitive topics. So Claude offers a kind of a let's think out of the box approach to its AI responses. Claude has, in my opinion, a bit more human feel to its responses. It doesn't feel as robotic. Now, just like all GPTs, Claude is not funny. It's not good at emotion, but Claude probably excels at emotion more so than the other two. That is ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. Now, I use mostly ChatGPT for help if I'm doing like some coding work or something like that, but every once in a while I'll come to Claude because Claude usually offers another way to look at it, or maybe even try to solve the problem with a completely different approach that I never even thought about. So it's really good at thinking of things outside the box and being very creative and paying attention to small nuances and highlighting those in its responses. So I would use Claude when I need to tackle problems or issues that require a lot of personality, a lot of nuance and things like that, because it's very good at actually handling that kind of stuff. I like Claude a lot. So if I were to rank them, I would say ChatGPT is just probably overall more functional. Claude has much better responses, but I think Google's Gemini is a very good, ready to go out of the box tool that almost anybody can use. So those are the big 3 GPTs, and they're all free to use. So go try them all and see what you get. Okay, so here's the really cool part. We're getting into the really good stuff. So in the other section about LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, and other GPTs, I talked about how I liked ChatGPT from OpenAI as kind of like my main or major GPT that I like using. And one of the reasons is because it has a function called Custom GPTs. Now, this is in the paid version. If you look in the corner right here, you'll see plus. It's about $40 a month, I think. In my opinion, 100% worth it. Up until recently, when you type something in a chat, the previous conversation is all taken into consideration when the AI tries to generate the next thing that it's going to say. So it has a memory about what it said already and kind of what it expects from you. So if you give it some commands or give it some instruction, it'll follow those things. Now, ChatGPT recently incorporated a feature where it will remember what you said in one chat in another. So for example, these are all my chats on the side here. If I had made some mention of something that sounded really important in one chat, if I switched to another chat, ChatGPT would actually remember that thing. And it kind of tells you, hey, memory is updated. Now, the ChatGPT has a limited memory, so this can't go on forever. So what people like doing, and people do this on all kinds of GPTs, what people like doing is they like creating what's called a chat that is fine-tuned. And what that means is that they give the chat a bunch of information on how to do a certain task or how to respond to a certain thing, or how to format an answer a certain way, and say, hey, I need you to look at this rule set, understand this rule set, because then I'm going to ask you questions about it. And that's a fine-tuning method. Now, the problem with that is that if I fine-tune my chat, if I go to another chat, then that fine-tuning and that instruction and stuff is lost. Here's where custom GPTs come in. So a custom GPT is creating my own miniature chat robot that is fine-tuned or a subject matter expert on a particular item or concept. So what does that mean? Let's get right into it. So if you look in your panel, again, you have to have Pro. If I come here and I go to this section here that says Explore GPTs, now there's a number of these custom GPTs that a lot of companies and individuals release. Again, one that's specialized in image generation, one that's really good at creating logos, one that is really good at writing engaging content, one that analyzes data, creative writing coach. Again, these are chat GPT bots that have been specially trained on a certain specific item. So for example, the coloring book hero, more than likely the person who created this got a lot of pictures of coloring books and people in coloring books and then fed it to their GPT. Their GPT learned and became an expert on coloring books and what coloring books are. The base model of ChatGPT is not necessarily an expert of everything. It just knows a lot about a lot of different things, but we want to make little AI experts. So what are we going to do? So I'm going to come here and go to create my own GPT. Now this is going to be private unless I wish it to be public. So one of the things that I like doing and my family likes doing a lot is we like watching a show called Finding Your Roots. Finding Your Roots is a great show about, diving into DNA and diving into family history and uncovering lots of things that people didn't know about. Now, my sister and I spent a lot of time over the last maybe 10 years trying to document our family history. That's been very difficult because, I'm West African. So going back that far, it's not easy to actually have a lot of good documentation. So we have acquired a lot of information about our family tree. And what I want to do is, let's say that I wanted to kind of create our own Finding Your Roots episode for my family, for my young children who are also giant fans of the show. So what I want to do is I want to create a Finding Your Roots bot that can basically write a script with the information that I have and unveil this narrative like they do on the show. So I'm going to call my bot Root Finder. This is a bot that. So what does it do? Using the format of the show, Finding Your Roots is GPT will create formation. So again, I want to bring like my family tree, a bunch of my family information, give it to ChatGPT, and it'll write this episode of Finding Your Roots that we can dramatize for like the kids, right? So conversation starters here, it's like I can put, let's say, do you have a family tree to upload? Do you have any documents to upload? And these are just some starter conversations. I'm going to come here and I'm going to use DALL-E right now. And DALL-E is OpenAI's image generator. It's not super great, but again, we're not looking for anything like crazy. So we don't need Flux or we don't need MidJourney. But if you wanted to create an icon for your custom GPT and you want to use Flux or MidJourney, I mean, by all means, go for it. So I have a bunch of episodes, transcripts of Finding Your Roots. I have several of them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload these episode transcripts to my chatbot. And what that's going to do is it's going to make my chatbot an expert on kind of the structure of the show Finding Your Roots. Okay, so apparently I had some issues downloading multiple files. So I just went ahead and merged all the text files into one, putting some separators in between each episode. So that should work. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to delete these individual episodes. I'm going to upload my massive all episodes episode in. There it goes. Boom. That's all episode transcripts. And what's really cool about this is that you can come here and say add action. You can add actions here, and that will allow you to execute some code. But that's far advanced. We're not getting to that right now. So our configuration is basically set up, but I want to go to create. Now what you want to do here is that this actually serves as like a question and answer thing. It'll ask you some questions about your custom bot, and as you answer them, it'll update the bot as well too. So it says, hi, I'm here to help you build a new GPT. Here, I'm going to copy what I want this to do. Here's what. And again, I like talking to ChatGPT like I'm just talking to anybody else. I'm going to move this on this side for a bit. Okay, would you like the tone to be emotional, documentary-like? Let's say casual and documentary-like. Now, I wasn't able to really separate the information, the data in the text file the way I wanted to because I just didn't have the time to go back and kind of refine it. So I can make that refinement here. I can say in the text file. Okay. We got it. It's going to go through it. Would you like any specific stylistic elements or pacing, voiceover cues, transitions? Yes, I do want those things in there. And again, it's going to update the rules for the GPT as well too. So it's updating and it'll keep on asking you questions until, and then look, you can even see that it, on this preview side, this is a side that you can basically kind of test if it works or not. I've updated the bot to match the document style, including structure, pacing, cues, voiceover. Let me know if you want any other refinements. So there's a number of refinements that we can use here. I'm going to stop right here for now. And I'm going to click create just so that I don't lose my work. And I want this to be available just for only me right now. Okay. And so I'm going to save it. And there, I've successfully created a custom GPT that's really good at taking family information and making an episode of Finding Your Roots after it. So now let's put this thing to test. So let's say I want to do Finding Your Roots episode. I cannot type when people are looking at me, so stop looking at me. With my twos, I want them to be the guests, and I will play the part of Hang Those Gates. Right? Their names are here are their bios. So I have some bio information for them because they are authors on Amazon.com. So I'm going to go to their Amazon.com bios. That's his bio. And then I'm going to get the bio of his younger brother. Now, I don't want it to do anything with this information now. So I'm going to say, save this in for. Actually, you know what? This information for now. I don't want it to write the episode now. So it's going to search the knowledge. And then it says, got it, save the information about Ndukaku and Chijindu. When you're ready, I can start crafting a Finding Your Roots episode featuring them as guests and you as Henry Louis Gates Jr. Would you like to proceed? I would not like to proceed because I want to upload some documents. I want to upload some documents retelling of their roots. All right, go ahead and upload the documents. I want to incorporate them into the episode. So I'm going to go to my computer. And I have here my father's autobiography, a short list of the family history from my father's side. And I have a bunch of screen caps I've taken from our ancestry, from our ancestry.com page. Now, again, because GPT is multimodal, it can actually understand images and read the information off of it. So I would say here's the first batch of docs. It features my father's. I have another batch to upload. I'm going to just check where I left off here. I don't want to upload things twice, okay? And it's going to look through that. It's also going to look at the files that I sent as well, too. And it says, hey, let me know. Otherwise, we'll get going with this. So I'm going to, again, come here and that should be all of the files that I have. Can you give me summary of what you have on them so far? It should be really, really high level right now. I'm going to say before we proceed. All right, so it says at a high level, they got the ancestry and lineage, key figures, modern generation, themes. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to say, let's do it. Let's make them their own episode. Hopefully, because of the training that is done, the specialization it has reading and understanding the Finding Your Roots script, it is going to craft one specifically for them. Here we go. Welcome to Finding Your Roots. You have the pleasure of running the history of two remarkable young storytellers. And here we go. Segment 1, Deep Roots and Witty. It goes to the family tree. Oh, this is great. So I'm going to pause it here and skip to the end. So it wrote all of this here. It talks about the opening sequence. Segment 1, warrior spirit of one of our ancestors, driving through the generations. Now here's the deal. This heavily focuses on, let's say, like my father's side. So if I upload more information about my mother's side, then it'll be a much more robust. And I can ask it to expound on, like, you know, let's say, tell me more about their family on their, oops, I can't spell, mother's side. Add another section about them. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a section about it. So it added the section about eternal strength and legacy, and it even added some things, some of their responses, I guess. But what we can do is we can copy this and then we can paste it in a Google Doc and then, you know, edit it, and then that'll be our episode. We can build on it as well too. So this is a great start for my own root finder episode writer of finding your roots. Now, people use these GPTs for lots of different things. And so, yeah, that's custom GPTs. You can use them to do a number of things. I have one that helps with culture. I have one that helps with writing, speech writing. I have one that helps people find resumes, one that helps people with coding, finding bugs. As long as you have data that's good, then you can hyper train and fine tune your GPT. But remember, it's all about the data you start with. So remember, garbage in, garbage out. And that is custom GPTs. Go on and see what you can make with this tool. Okay, so now we get into image generation using AI. And there's a lot of image generators out there. Stable Diffusion is a very popular one you may have heard of, but that usually requires a lot of specialized hardware and a little bit of like expertise or knowledge. It's pretty tricky. But one of the ones that I like using for very simple generations that are very high quality is MidJourney. MidJourney is a diffusion modeling software that is really easy to use. It's very affordable. It's not free, but it's a game changer when it comes to like actually being able to produce high quality imagery that doesn't look like nonsensical, like, you know, these AI videos that you see online. So our journey with MidJourney actually starts on Discord. Discord is an app that allows you to create servers or special, think of them like chat rooms, but you can create your own server. It's helpful for building communities, for talking, for, you know, it's largely known for playing games, but we're going to specifically use it just for this AI image generation. So you go to discord.com, and I would recommend that you download it. I'm on a Windows machine right now, but I would recommend that you download Discord. If you don't want to download it, you can run it in the browser. MidJourney actually has a really good website that they spend a lot of time kind of getting up to date and getting it to look really good. However, I highly recommend that you use Discord, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to take all of the features of MidJourney from Discord and actually put it into the website. So if you want the latest and greatest, even like the beta stuff or the things coming out, I suggest you get Discord. When you get Discord and you install it, what you're going to do is you're going to go to this website, discord.com/invite/MidJourney. Now, it'll bring you to this page. You've been invited to join MidJourney, and you accept the invite. Once you accept the invite, MidJourney is your Discord server, your Discord app is going to open up, and it's going to invite you to the MidJourney server. This is the MidJourney server right here. As you can see, I use Discord for a lot of things. But once you're in this server, we're good to go. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to come down at the bottom of this left panel, and you want to click on this plus sign. And this plus sign will let you create your own server. It's private, just for you to do whatever you need to do. You want to go to create your own. You want to go to for me and my friends, and then name your server, put a picture up, and then click create. It's that easy. I've already created a server, so I'm not going to create another one right now. Once your server is created, you want to go back to the Discord, the MidJourney Discord. You want to go on this right panel and you want to find MidJourney Bot. We want to click on MidJourney Bot, and we want to click on Add App. When I click on Add App, I'm going to say Add to Server. And then from here, I'm going to click this drop down list, and then I'm going to select the server that I just created. This will put the MidJourney app, the MidJourney Bot, into your server. And I've already done this, so I'm not going to do it twice. So now I come to the server that I created for MidJourney. Let's see, some of these things are on the way. All right, called the AI Fun. Unfortunately, MidJourney took away its free option. They used to allow you to have, I think, like 20 free generations a day. But what we're going to need to do is you're going to need to type in / and then subscribe to MidJourney. What this will do is this will give you a link to where you can subscribe to. Now, MidJourney actually has a lot of really good pricing. The pricing is pretty decent. So unfortunately, MidJourney is not free. It used to offer you about 20 generations a day for free to kind of wet your whistle and get you to subscribe. But I think the MidJourney access is invaluable to any creators or anybody who's looking to get in the AI space. It's very simple and it's incredibly useful. So this says the way that it's structured right now is that the lowest plan is $10 a month. This allows you to generate about 200 images for the month. It's limited, but 200 images is a lot. And it lets you do 3 concurrent jobs. I actually have this plan, the standard plan. It allows for about 1,200 generations a month. I don't actually hit anywhere near this. So my recommendation is start here because this is a great value for $10 a month. All right, so once we have taken care of our billing, we're ready to start generating some images. And MidJourney makes that super easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the server that I created, or this is the server that I already had specific for this. And what I'm going to do is MidJourney works through what are called / commands. And I want to start by using typing / and then imagine. This imagine is our primary tool that we're going to use to generate content in MidJourney. I click on that and it's going to ask me for a prompt. Now what I want to do is I want to enter, just for right now, just a simple descriptive prompt. And there's kind of a style to how you enter. You kind of write what you want it to be, and then you put like a comma or two, and then you kind of add a little bit extra details. I want a futuristic city at sunset, ultra detailed, and then I'm going to put photo realistic. Just send this command to the MidJourney bot, and the MidJourney bot will take usually about 40 seconds or so to generate you 4 different images. Things get interesting because once it generates those images, there's a lot that you can do with those generations. Okay, so now it generated us our 4 images. So you can click on this and you can kind of get a better look at these images, or you can click on open in browser and I'll put all these images up here. So what this is this is image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4. Okay. So I'm going to come back here and actually pick which image I like the best. If I like this image, let's say I like, I kind of like image 1 the best. It's very artistic. This U means upscale. And if I click this, it's going to upscale image 1. It's going to take image 1 and make it really big and make it really refined at high resolution. So if I click U1, what's going to happen is it's going to give me just that first image that I liked, right? And then these V's right here stands for variation. Now what it's going to do, if I click V1, it's going to create a variation based off of this image. So it's going to create something that they take this image and then just change it just a little bit and give me 4 new options, right? What it'll also do is it'll put up this pop-up to ask if I need to put any extra information. So let's say I like this image a lot. I want it to be slightly different, but I want it to be at sundown. I click OK, and then it'll generate my image as well too. So I got to wait for that to happen. Okay, and now I have my 4 new images here. This right here is called a reroll. Let's say I didn't like any of these images and I want to just kind of re-roll it and generate those images again. If I press that re-roll button, they'll give me my new prompt to see if I want to change anything else. If I want to keep it the same and just get 4 new images, I press submit and it'll generate those images. Now, if I come down here, I look at, this is my re-roll. These are the 3 or 4 completely new options for the images that MidJourney generated. As you can see, they look pretty different from the first one and kind of cool. So we can take this upscaled image and we can actually upscale it even more. And make subtle changes, or we can give MidJourney some creative license with its upscaling and use upscale creative. We can also make subtle variations and strong variations. MidJourney can do something called out painting, which means that there's an image here, and let's say I wanted to see a little bit more city to the right, right? If I want to see just a little bit more city to the right. Now, MidJourney by default makes square images. If I want to see a little bit more to the right, I would come here and I would just click this right arrow. And what MidJourney will do is it will actually outpaint, meaning paint on the outside of the image. I'm going to press submit. I'm going to keep the prompt the same. And right now it will pan and draw the rest of the image over here, another square. So it'll end up being a rectangle. I can also do that if I want to paint to the left or up or down, right? Here is the image that we panned to the right a bit. As you can see, the first part of the image looks identical, but the right side that we pan to, MidJourney is changing what that right side of the image looks like on all four of these. I can keep moving, if I upscale, let's say upscale 2, I can keep on moving this to the right and create a super long image if I want to. Sometimes in MidJourney, when you create a long image, you might need that square image again. So in addition to outpainting more of the image to the left, right, up, and down, we could actually make this image square. So you click make square, and it will fill out the rest of this image so that the image returns to being a square. This is really useful if you're doing things that you need to post on like Instagram or something like that, that just works better with square imaging. Now, MidJourney can also do something called in-painting. I'm going to go to my reroll because this reroll looks very interesting to me. I'm going to choose, let's choose this fourth one. I'm going to press U4 or upscale 4. I'm going to come down to the bottom, and there is my fourth image. Now, I think this picture would look really cool if there was a blimp in the picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come where it says here, it says vary region. I'm going to click here, and what this is called in painting. This is where instead of painting on the outsides, we're painting inside of the image. So what I do is I'm going to draw a region where I think, I didn't like that. Let me press undo. I'm going to draw a region where I want this blimp to be. I want this blimp to be here. And whatever I want to be in the picture, I'm going to actually put in this prompt. So I'm going to say a retro-styled Zeppelin. Oops. A retro-styled Zeppelin in the distance emitting blue smoke. And MidJourney is going to in-paint that image as well too. Here is my futuristic blimp or Zeppelin that is in-painted in the scene. I like this third one. I'm going to upscale that third picture. And there is my my scene. Now, I can use this and essentially create a lot of different looks and styles. And MidJourney is really good for doing like specific art styles or specific artist styles. So I'm going to create a much more detailed prompt. So then this prompt is about a World War II era advertisement for a cereal box, right? And I'm going to use a 16:9 aspect ratio. This is a switch at the end. Aspect ratio here. I want to use the 5th version of MidJourney. This is for quality 2, which is a really high quality. And then this other prompt parameter here is called a stylized parameter. And this allows MidJourney to really, really go wild with how it kind of creates its arts. Now, there's lots of guides on how to use these things, but this is just kind of a quick start guide for MidJourney. I will link some of those guides, what these extra parameters are, so that you can use them to create a more creative and more precise image of what you're looking to do. Right? So if you're looking to create ads, if you're looking to create web page content, MidJourney is a great place to get started. So here is my scene. And it looks like a kind of a retro 50s style. I will say 60s style. I will say to be careful because MidJourney, along with a lot of AI, does not get words correct. So be careful with that. But essentially, that is how you use MidJourney to generate. You can right click, save your images, and really just go wild with it. I've helped create multiple websites, advertising campaigns, all kinds of stuff with MidJourney by just kind of clicking on these things, playing around and getting better at prompting. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So very much, please go wild with it. Have fun. MidJourney is safe. It doesn't allow you to do anything risque or controversial. So yeah, have fun with it. This is a quick start guide. There is a full link to lots of more complicated and direct guides in the course material. So, world's yours. So now we're getting into the fun stuff. So MidJourney is really good at creating very quick, very simple, very like artistic images for use for lots of different things. But when we want to create something that's a little bit more high-end, something that's a little bit more professional, we're going to be using a diffusion model called Flux. Now, Flux is a very powerful diffusion model, and it can be run on your own computer locally, but only if you have specialized hardware and a lot of GPU processing power. If you don't have a powerful graphics card and the technical know-how to actually install and work through Flux, here's another option for you. If you do have those, I would recommend going on YouTube. There's lots of videos on how to get Flux up and running if you have a really powerful GPU like a 3060 or 3090. So for all those who don't have a GPU and just want to kind of get up and running with Flux very quickly, this website called Fal-ai, F-A-L.ai, is a very good website to use. This website actually has lots of different AI models and tools for you. We're only going to be talking about Flux right now, but we'll get into some of the other ones later. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to come to Fal-ai and log in. You need a GitHub account in order to log into Fal. GitHub is a place that developers put their source code and keep track of their programs. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to go and create an account, a free account on GitHub. And once you have your account on GitHub, you can actually pick that as your sign-in. Very similar to like sign-in by Google or Facebook. GitHub is free. It's located at www.github.com. When we log in, we're going to be greeted immediately with lots of different AI models, AI applications. What you want to do is you want to go to Explore. And in the search bar, you want to type in Flux LoRa, L-O-R-A. And this is the one we're looking for, Flux LoRa text to images. We're going to click on this. And it has kind of a sample prompt up here. Unlike Stable Diffusion and MidJourney to a certain extent, Flux is very good at doing text and making the text actually appear correctly. So in our example, we're going to do a low angle shot of a Las Vegas sign spinner. So I put my prompt in here, and you kind of want to put this in like an English style prompt, like just kind of just saying it out the way you want it. I don't need to worry about this LoRa for right now. That's a whole nother subject. What I want to do is I want to make this a portrait, 3x4, and let's just keep everything else the same. Now, this does cost some money. As you can see, your request will cost about 3.5 cents per megapixel. So it's going to be about 3.5 cents. You can run for $1. You can run this model approximately 29 times. So it's very low cost to do this. And it's trial and error a bit, but as you can see, I think it's definitely worth it, especially if you don't have a powerful GPU at home and the know-how to actually do this yourself. So I've preloaded my account with a little bit of money. And then you click run. And in a couple of seconds, we have a very high quality. Look, he has all 5 fingers. Picture of a Las Vegas sign spinner. Now, he doesn't have a sign. So I'm going to say he is holding a large advertising sign with both hands. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, but let's try to get it better. He's holding the Vegas sign. Okay, so we want a plain white sign. There we go. Right. And so I can do this again with a, the portrait. So you come up with some pretty good pictures. Now, I like, let's say you want to have a website and you want to have, someone talking like to a crowd of people. Screen. So now we're gonna take our same sign spinner and make him like he's speaking to the audience, right? Perfect. Right? Now let's change the gender. Let's make it a female. She. Yeah. And it's really good at picking up on a lot of different things. Okay, that one. She's wearing a fully covered. Now, Flux is a censored model, so it doesn't do not safe for work stuff, but it sometimes will kind of get close to that if you're not careful, right? This is a little bit more appropriate, right? You can get ethnicities, cultures, and a lot of different things done correctly. See? All right, again, look, all 5 fingers. Flux is really good at fingers and not like making things weird. There are anomalies and things that do look a little strange, so be aware of that. This is how we can use the diffusion model Flux to generate really high quality images for our websites or our promotional material that actually look pretty real and not, too. So sometimes we have a hard time, you might have a hard time like writing exactly what the image you want to describe looks like, but you kind of have an idea. So let's say I'm going over the same thing of somebody like speaking in public. So if I go to googleimage.com and I put public speaker, let's say, this is kind of the image I really want to go for, right? I can right click and go to copy that image. Now there's a website, I'll link this in the course material. It's called Joy Caption. Joy Caption is a really good tool to describe image using computer vision. So I'll come to this website and I would click on this paste icon and I'll paste from my clipboard. And here's the image that I pasted. If I go to caption in a second, it will give me the caption for this picture. Here we go. Here's the caption. And now what I can do is I can copy this and go back to fall. I'll pull down a little bit and paste that in there. Now, let's say I want the actual shot, the location, but not the dress, right? So speaking with a black microphone held in the right hand and gesture, the woman has a medium dark skin tone, complexion, voluminous hair, wearing a brown. So this is what she's wearing. I don't want that, right? The background feature large glass window. Okay, so all of this is really good. I'm going to take this Las Vegas sign spinner Bengali wearing a flashy outfit. I'm going to take this and I'm going to delete that first part and then just replace the outfit part from my prompt in there, right? She is dressed as a Las Vegas sign spinner. So now, and then that picture was a landscape picture. So now it's going to recreate something pretty similar to the picture that we saw, right? Indoors, right? If I can make this up. Okay, that microphone is floating. She's a so person, right? Okay, and if Flux does pick up any not safe for work content for whatever reason, it will flag it and it will not charge you for that. So it's pretty effective. Let's just change, this might be pushing too far close to the not safe for work limit, which is not intended at all. So let's go dressed in traditional attire, right? There we go. And so now we have a pretty realistic picture of what we're looking for. And I can keep on rerunning this as much as I want. and we'll get really good results. So use Joy Caption to help caption images as far as like to grab like people's outfits, their clothing, their wardrobe positioning, and things of that nature, right? So that is how I use Fal-ai to generate high quality images using Flux. There's probably no other platform that kind of talks about it as simply as IFTTT. It stands for if this then that, and that is the exact platform that we're going to be using to create our first automation. Now, there's a lot of automation software out there, online services, quite a few of them. And the reason why we're going to use IFT is because their pretty simple interface has a very low barrier of entry. It integrates with hundreds of other services and applications. Once you get your automations kind of set up correctly, it's kind of set and forget. You can just leave it alone. And then there's also a limited free tier. The free tier gives you a good amount of functionality, but obviously it's free, so it's limited, but it's still a pretty functional free tier. Now the cons is that with all automation software, it can get pretty confusing with advanced use cases. So the more complicated stuff you're doing, the more tricky it can get. And one other con is that it also doesn't support a lot of common integrations that you would expect. So some of their services like Gmail, for example, is pretty limited, and you might find better functionality and capabilities in other platforms. And their pricing structure out their paid tier is kind of volatile. So sometimes they're all over the place. I will say that generally speaking, it's a pretty good value for what you're getting, especially if you use it for automating kind of businesses and things like that. It's kind of invaluable for that. So even though the price structure kind of goes up and down, it's kind of annoying, but the cost is relatively low regardless. And if you're using this for a business, then I think it's kind of one of those things you just got to do. But again, we're going to use this piece of software. It's an online software, and there's other ones in the market. There's Relay, there's Zapier, and there's some other ones as well too. But IFT is a pretty good starting place. So we're going to get into how we make our first integration. So I'm on the IFT website, and it's IFTTT.com. And I'm not going to get into signing up or registering. Just go in there, create a free account, and you'll be kind of greeted with this screen, this Explore screen. All of these are called applets. These are small, tiny automations that run, and we can take a look at one of them here. So this one says quickly create events in a Google Calendar. So if I click on it, this is creating an automation between your Google Calendar and a note widget on your phone. Essentially, that you can type something on your phone and then it'll create a calendar event. So if it says, if you write something, hey, meeting with Jonathan at 3:30, at 10, then IFT will kind of write that into your Google Calendar. And once it's connected, then basically anytime you kind of write a quick note to yourself, hey, make sure I do this or make sure I do that, it'll kind of automatically create that event. So the trigger would be writing something in your note, and then the action would be it creates a Google Calendar. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to create our first automation ourselves. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my applets here. I have several applets that are here, but we're going to go to create. And this is the kind of the basic structure of IFT. There's also this neat AI creator that if you can kind of just tell it what to do, it will kind of tell you what automations are available. But we're going to create a simple automation that's going to generate content or ideas for us. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to click add, and I'm going to pick my trigger service. This is the thing that when it happens, it'll spawn something else from happening. So let's say that I have a blog or so, and I want to kind of create content. Now, one of the hardest parts about blogging is that content creation takes some time. AI is good, but we all know that AI content is kind of crap. So what we're going to do is we're going to leverage AI, and we're going to leverage the power of automation to link those services together to give us some ideas on how we can actually create better content and use AI for ideas and brainstorming. So again, I'm a content creator. I write for a blog, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here. This is the date and time service. And I can say every day at, let's say, when I get into work, 9 o'clock. Let's say 9:15, because I like, get my coffee and everything together. Every day at 9:15, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Google document. So let's say the Google Docs. Now, if you haven't registered with this service already, it will ask you to connect to the service, which is usually just a 1 or 2 click process. Once you're connected in, then it'll go ahead and link those services together. So I create my Google document, and I want to create a document, okay? And it says which account that I'm using. I'm using my main account. And then document name, I'm going to say today's document, right? And this is the content that's here. I'm going to ignore the content for now. And what path in my Google Drive should it go in? So I'm going to click action, create action. Oh, it's going to say, I got to put some content in. This is my content, right? So again, every day at 12:15, it's going to create a document that is called today's document, and it's going to say, this is my content. Now that's not super helpful, right? But what I am going to do is I am going to click here and then go to query. What query allows us to do is it allows us to pull information from certain sources. So what I want to do is I want to pull information from this service right here called AI Prompt or AI Social Creator. I click on AI Social Creator because that's exactly what I want to do. Or you know what? I want to click on Content Creator. So I come in and I choose my service for my query. Queries allow you to query or pull in a lot of information from a lot of different places and services. So I want to go to my search services and type in AI. Now, we're going to be met with a lot of different AI services. IFT has a bunch of specific services for AI, general prompting, summarizing documents. But I want to do what this is called as content creator. I click on this content creator. It's going to ask me to draft content on a topic, draft content on a given topic around a given outline. Draft content on a topic given an outline a blog post or a topic, blog post ideas on a topic, and then brainstorm titles for a blog post. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do blog post ideas for a topic. I click here. The topic is, let's say I run a science blog, discoveries that changed the world, right? Science discoveries that changed the world. And this is the tone that I want to put out. Let's make it a witty tone. And again, it's going to default to writing this in English, but if I want to write in a different language, I can always specify it here. So there's my topic. Here's the tone that I wanted, and I just click query. Now, every day at 12, what's going to happen is that IFT is going to find my topic, science discoveries that changed the world, and create a witty response. Now, what am I going to do with that? What I'm going to do with that information is I'm actually going to go into my Google document action and click edit. Remember I said we're going to forget about the action for now. Well, now is where we're going to use it. So I say science discovery, science blog ideas. And this will create a new document called science blog ideas. I have a ton of them every day. So what I want to do is I want to go to add ingredient here. And I want to click check time. Now what that's going to do is that is going to append time that this ran on my blog idea. So it's the blog ideas for this day at this time. So, and my content, what I want the content to be is I want the content to be, well, what the AI actually gave me. So I want to click on add ingredient, and there's a drop down here because I can choose between either the trigger service or I can choose the query service. And the query service is where we have our AI content. And I click content here. Now, what's going to happen is that every day at 12 o'clock, IFT is going to query the AI service and say, give me science blog ideas that change the world. And IFT will use the AI to generate a topic or an idea for a blog to write. Now, what I'll do is I will click content, and that content will actually be sent directly into the content box right here, and a document will be created accordingly. So once I have everything in order, I click update action, and here's what my entire automation looks like. Every day at 9:15, give me blog post ideas on a topic. And the topic is science discoveries that change the world. Make it witty. And then create a document called science blog ideas with the time that it was. This allows you to tell your documents apart. And then content would be the content that's generated from that. And this is where it's going to be saved in your Google Drive. I want to click update, and then I want to put continue. And once that's done, it should be connected. If it's not connected, just click right there and then it'll connect. And once it's connected, you're good to go. So again, every day at 9:15, I will get AI to generate blog post ideas on the topic of science discoveries that change the world. And then it'll create a document about that. So essentially, there's these two checkboxes here. You can, if you have the mobile app, which I highly suggest you get for iOS and Android, if I click this, every time this applet or every time this automation runs, I'll get a notification on my phone saying, hey, this applet ran. And then I can also click this other one and that'll let me know anytime that it failed, if something went wrong. And that's it. So we're going to wait until it's 9:15 in the morning and then we will see if it worked. All right. So it's 9:15 in the morning all of a sudden, and lo and behold, look in my Google Drive folder, and if and date and time where we specified, a document was created called Science Blog Ideas with the time stamp appended to it. And here it goes. It says, sure, here's a list of blog post ideas about science discovery that changed the world, all delivered with a witty twist. And then it says, Eureka, accidental discoveries that shook the world, gravity, the ultimate attraction in history, far from bubbles to beakers, the wild west of chemistry, Einstein's hair, shocking truth behind the theory of relativity. And it gives me 10 ideas for blogs to write every day, 10 ideas. Now, again, I can do it so it will write content for me, or, I can just do this so it can actually use it to help me write a lot of different things. Now, I'm going to show you another tool that can be used in advanced automations, okay, so now we did a pretty basic automation with IFTTT and AI. So now we're going to go through a more advanced automation. Now remember, the free tier on IFTTT only allows you to make about 2 automations. And from then on, you have to kind of pay for Pro and Premium. Now, I highly recommend if you're going to be doing a lot of these things or if you see a lot of value in it, to go ahead and just get that Premium Pro Plus plan, because you're going to want to do it for reasons as such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to IFTTT. And I'm going to create a more advanced automation. Here is a picture of me at a science show. It's something that I do for kids and the youth from time to time because I enjoy it quite a bit. And so I want to kind of just post this picture, but I'm on the go. I don't really have time to kind of think about captions and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a trigger that will automatically start posting and captioning as soon as I do it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in my Google Drive, I have this folder that's called Load. It's for loading up particular images and things like that. I want to say anytime I drag a image into this folder, go ahead and post something. So let's say I'm going through my phone. I like this image. I drag that image in. It goes ahead, and that's the trigger that is going to be used to drive the actions that I'm doing. So I'm going to go into Google Drive here. And I'm going to look through the different actions or the triggers that it has. And the trigger that I'm looking for is, boom, here it goes. New photo in your folder. This trigger fires every time any new photo is saved to your Google Drive, right? Well, this also works for photos created after the applet's turned on. So I'm going to click on this. My path is IFTTT and then load. So I'm going to go IFTTT, load, and then I create the trigger. So anytime any photo gets put into this folder, it's going to go ahead and create or do what I want it to do right now. So what I want to do is I want to make a post about the picture. Well, how do we know what the picture says? Well, one of the good things about IFTTT is that if you have an idea, you can go ahead and create your own service. So here's a service that we created through my company, Anyam Insights. And it's called AI Image Insights. And what this does, it will actually read your image and use a multimodal AI to determine what that image is about and then be able to do things with it using AI. So I'm going to click on Caption Image. Now you need to feed it an image. And what's going to happen is I'm going to take the photo that I just added to my drive. By default, it's already selected. And then I want to write an objective. Now, what's an objective? Objectives are used to tell AI Insights what kind of information you need. For example, create a fun Instagram caption for this image. Create a fun message and 40 characters. Right? Go ahead and create that query. So again, it's going to take that URL. It's going to send it to my service that reads the URL, and then it will pull that information. Now, I got the information, I got the trigger. Now what do I do with it? So what I want to say, if this, then that, I want to go ahead and post an Instagram message. Instagram with the picture and the caption. But when you come here, you see Instagram is not available as an action service on IFT. So I can't post an Instagram picture based on the picture and the caption that I did. But what I can do is I can use a tool called Buffer. Buffer is a tool. It's free to use up to a certain point. Buffer allows you to schedule social media posts. And there's a number of different channels. You can have a TikTok, you can have Instagram, you can have a Facebook, different things. If I look at view more channels, then I can connect to so many different channels. I use Buffer as my action service. And now what Buffer will do is it'll load up my images into a buffer and then be able to post that into Instagram. So I say add a photo to the buffer. Which account? I choose which account. Okay. I choose what the URL is. And then for the description, this is going to be what the caption is on the Instagram post. Well, I'm going to pull that caption from my AI Insight service and put this here. And now it's the description of the image, and it'll create it in kind of like the Instagram kind of, voice. And now here we have the basic structure of the applet or automation. Anytime I drag a image into a specific folder, it'll pass that to an AI vision program to read and then automatically caption the picture and then send that to Buffer and queue up my Instagram feed. Now, here's another really cool thing I can do. I can have multiple actions, right? And so let's say that's good that it's on Instagram, but I still want this on Twitter. So now what I'll do is I'll post a tweet with an image. The text for the tweet will just be the same thing that I was posted on Instagram. URL is going to be the URL for the picture as well too. Hey, so now now all I have to do is drag one file from my now I have to just drag one. So now I just have to drag one file from my computer into this folder, and it does multiple actions. I can even notify myself with an email or a push notification. And what this will do is if you have IFT mobile, which again, I definitely think you should, it'll go ahead and send a push notification saying, hey, a message that I sent, your post is posted. One of the advantages with IFT is that it has a mobile app, and a lot of the other automation softwares do not. I press continue, and then I say post to the things, and I drag a file to my special folder. Great. Now, anytime I drag that file into this folder, click it there. It's going to take a little bit of time to upload. It's complete. Let me check back in with IFT. Refresh that page. And look, it says run one time. And see, just like that right there, it says stepping into sparkling clean science hall where comfort meets curiosity. Cozy chairs, neat desks, curtains that whisper secrets of discovery. Now, again, I didn't really specify the thing very much, but it allows you to go ahead and really show some really good content that's here. And there it goes, an AI written post that's automatically generated on Twitter that shows the content and actually what you're doing. So that is our advanced case. Okay, so now we're going to use IFT and AI to generate and schedule our social media posts in much of the same way we did before. So I have this folder in my Google Drive, and anytime I drag a picture into this folder, that will be the trigger for this applet. So now what do I want to do? I want to go ahead and post that. And then I have this picture here. It's Black History Month. And so it's a gaming channel. There's some African American or some gamers of African American descent that I want to just post on my channel, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a query. It's a service that I wrote. One of the good things about IFT is that it allows you to go ahead and create services of your own. So if you have an idea for something that you want to integrate, as long as you adhere to the IFT platform rules, you can go ahead and put anything on here and help, add to the community of just hundreds of applications that you can link to. So I'm going to click on this AI image insight. And what's going to happen is it's going to need a image URL to read with computer vision. Now, by default, the URL from our Google Drive is automatically posted in there, so you don't have to do anything. And then we're going to need an objective. What an objective is essentially is objectives are used to tell the AI insights what kind of information you need. For example, create a fun Instagram caption for the image. I'm going to essentially create something that says the same thing. So I'll say create Okay, so the objective I gave is said create a fun social media caption about this image. This is for a gaming channel that is family friendly. I use an edgy tone and am a bit smug in my content. Keep it short, around 100 characters. Be sure to use at least 5 popular gaming hashtags. Do not include quotation marks. I included this part because usually the AI returns things back with quotation marks. So I click quick query. Now, if you play around with this, it's AI, so sometimes it's not exactly on brand or on message. So getting the objective or the prompt direction right is a bit of a skill. And there's another section in this course where we'll go over how to do that, but we're going to keep it pretty simple for right now. Okay, so now I got my image into Google Drive. Now the AI insight has read the image and is able to generate a small post about that. Now, what I want to do is I want to come here. So I go ahead and click buffer, and I've already connected my buffer account to IFT. And so this is my YouTube account. This is my Instagram account. So I click on the Instagram account, and then the photo URL, it's going to post the photo from the one that I will drag into my Google Drive folder. And I want to keep the description and the AI response from the insight service, and I click create. So whenever I drag a picture into this folder, it'll go ahead and create an Instagram post on my buffer account, right? Okay, cool, great. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click update. But wait a minute, this is an advanced demonstration. So one of the good things about the Pro account or the Pro Plus account is that it allows me to do these things where I have queries. This is a feature of one of the higher tiers. Again, like I said, if you're planning on using this, I highly suggest you spend the money on it. It's about $20 or so. I don't get paid by IFT, but it's a really good service and it's pretty simple to use. So that's for the whole year. So it's relatively cheap. So what I want to do is I want to also post to, my Twitter. So I'm gonna go to Twitter and post a tweet with an image. Again, I choose my Twitter account. The text for the tweet will be here. I'm going to caption image and the description there, and then the URL is going to be there as well too. It's automatically posted, so it kind of does some of the work for you. Okay, great. But I also have a LinkedIn bio, and so I want to go ahead and post to my LinkedIn bio page as well too, right? And I want to go ahead and keep the title here. Let's just link it to my actual Instagram page and no group ID. So I click create. And so now when I do this, it will go ahead and read the image, create a caption about the image, including hashtags, put it to buffer, which schedules my Instagram posts, send a tweet, but also update my link and bio links as well too. Now, one more thing before we're done. Okay, so we're gonna add one more thing. So Instagram uses hashtags, but Twitter actually frowns on hashtags. They do more keyword searches. I want to move the hashtags from my Instagram post. So I want to go into filter code. Okay, this is filter code. What filter code allows you to do is allows you to actually add some extra functionality into your automation. It uses a programming language called TypeScript. You don't need to know a ton of TypeScript to do this. If anything, you can use AI to help you write the TypeScript to do this as well too. But for now, I have linked some code in the supplementary documents, so you can go there, download it, and copy and paste this in. But essentially what this is saying is I'm creating a variable called cap for caption, and that takes the caption that we got from our AI insight with the hashtags. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another variable called tweet, and I'm going to remove all of the hashtags. This just removes all the hashtags from the actual string. So anything that has hashtags, I want to remove everything after the first hashtag. And I'm going to replace it with these very popular follow PC Gamer, Instagamer, these very popular keywords without the hashtags. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the new Twitter caption is going to be what we just created and we stripped. And now I'm going to set the new Twitter caption to be just that, the new keywords that have been stripped of hashtags. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to click add filter. So anytime I bring in a new image into a specific folder, the AI insights will go ahead and read it, create a gaming caption that is on brand, on message, and then it will include very popular hashtags. My filter code will take that message, remove the hashtags, and replace it with certain keywords, and add that to the Twitter tweet. I'll go ahead and take the picture and the hashtag and caption, add that to buffer, which will go ahead and push to Instagram, then push the hashtag-less caption to Twitter, and then update my LinkedIn profile website as well too. So if I press update, applet updated, right? It says post the things when I drag a file into my special folder. That does all of this stuff too. So here's, and then we'll just make sure it's connected, make sure it looks good, and then we can try it out. So here is my folder. I'm going to drag my image into the folder. Right there, it's uploading. Boom, there it is. This should be a 2. All right, so we drag that in here, and now if we go to our buffer and we see our image, we see our caption, we see the hashtags here. Now, granted, like I said, this may not have the message that you want, and that's where kind of AI fine tuning comes in. Again, pay attention. We have a section about that, how to make sure that it stays completely on message. But this is just so you get the idea. This will go ahead and post this image at 5:40 today. If I go to my Twitter, you'll see, boom, right here. This is my post. This is my message here. If I go to my link in bio, here is the post that's posted up along with other posts as well too. And if I click on that, obviously it takes me to the Instagram page. So that's essentially how we go from very simple automation to a complicated automation, multi-part automation using queries to pull data, and then also filter code to kind of filter that data and do some additional functionality with stuff. So if automation is an AI, it can do some really, really cool things. I suggest you play around with it. I'll probably put a couple of challenges in the notes as well too, for you to go around and play with and get some experience. But the better you get at this, the more opportunity and new types of functionalities and use cases you'll unlock. That's automation. All right, so we'll be getting into voice cloning and speech processing. We're going to work today with something called Play-ht. It is a text-to-speech platform that I use quite often and quite frequently. It's one of my favorite. It's affordable pricing. There's a pretty decent free model, and it has probably the best vocal reproduction than a lot of the other models that are out there. So like Bland AI does a decent job of impersonating your voice, but I think that Play-ht does the best at doing it. So let's take a look at how that works. So to make things easier, I'm signing in with a Google account, and I have my free account, and see on the free account, I have 1 minute of speech or 1,000 characters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new identity. Let's call it channel. Create a voice, instant capture, and it's going to ask me for, call it V1. It's going to ask me to upload an audio sample, just like in Blend AI. I want to click that, and I've previously recorded about 3 minutes of me speaking. You have to make sure that you're recording with no background music, with no background noise, just clear speech. The clearer the speech is, the better the vocal reproduction is. Also, what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that you're talking in different tones and inflections. You don't necessarily need to change wildly in how you talk, but just make sure that you're changing from talking very professionally to talking real casually. And then maybe make a joke, put some inflections on it or something like that, and then just go back and forth. It's probably best if you read a script of narrative dialogue, something from a novel or something fictional. That way it has a range of emotions. You kind of change your voice and things like that. And it has a pretty good representation of how you sound at different tones and inflections. Anyway, I prepared this file here already. I'm going to press open and agree to their terms. Now, once that uploads, it'll validate the file and make sure that it is okay and make sure it's good enough to clone. And then once I've created my voice, have my voice here, it's complete. So I'm going to now create a file, a new file, and I'm going to write some text. So I've grabbed a copy of the speech from Gladiator. My name is Maximus. And I am going to use the default voice here, generate speech. In a little bit of time, it'll generate those words.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
And then I can just change it to my voice, the one that I cloned here, and then press play to listen to it. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. And so every time you regenerate, it's going to say that with a slightly different inflection. And then from there, you can go ahead and save the file if you need to. Obviously, to unlock all of the voice models, you need a paid plan, but this generally gives you a good place to start. Play-ht is really good because it allows you to do things like create AI agents to actually perform actions for you. Similar to our custom, they'll allow you to essentially make calls on behalf of people like Blend AI. It is kind of somewhat of a competitor, but I think Blend's a little easier to use for just the calling part, especially since you get free credits on it, as well as API access. So we can do the same thing as we could go ahead and get text from the internet, send it to Play-ht, and then convert that text to AI speech. So there are a lot of text-to-speech applications out there. I think Play-ht is probably one of my favorites. So go ahead and play with it, see if you like it, and enjoy. So I've logged into my paid account right now, and as you can see, I have a lot of different features and a lot of credits and minutes as far as how I can use my plan. So one of the things I want to talk about is the AI agents that work very similarly to how we have it in ChatGPT. So I'm going to create an AI agent. If there's an avatar I want to use, I can select that, drag this in there, and then I'll use this as an avatar, upload the avatar, and then let's just make this private. Only I can use this. And let's go to behavior. For my agent, I'm gonna just give it a nice casual greeting. Right, and then just some definition on how I behave in the conversation. Act casually. Always maintain professionalism and do not foolish or use appropriate language. However, some you also speak as a and then we can change kind of our agent behavior here as well too. I'm going to copy this because I might need this later. And then I want to make this just more chatty. I can actually upload knowledge files on here as well too. And I'm not going to upload any specific custom knowledge on there right now. And I'm just going to press action. I don't want them to take any actions. Deploy. And then finish creating. And here I have my AI agent right here. And I can go ahead and talk to my AI agent. I can call him. Allow.
Hey there. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to use AI agents in Play-ht is, like for a beginner.
Man, listen. If you're not using AI agents in Play-ht, you're missing out. This isn't just some text-to-speech thing anymore. You can literally create your own live custom GPT-powered agent, and I'm talking like make it a subject matter expert on anything you want. Finance, fitness, car repair, how to run your business better, whatever. You train it. You guide it. It talks like you want it to talk. And here's the wild part. You can give it an actual phone number, like a real number, and it can call people back, take inbound calls, follow up on conversations, schedule things, or even shoot a recap message with action items. It can serve or it can do, like legit perform tasks on your behalf. And the personality, you fine tune that too. Want to make it sharp and witty, calm and professional, off the wall helpful with a side of sass? Done. You're not just creating a tool, you're building a whole AI persona that works for you, thinks with you.
No, I'm just trying to focus mostly on the AI aspect of it. Can I get like one example of something very specific and then what to use like an AI agent to do? Absolutely. One perfect example, new user intake. Honestly, that process can be super tedious and time consuming, but with an AI agent, it becomes seamless. Imagine this. Someone fills out a form on your website to book a session or schedule a meeting. Normally, you would have to follow up, confirm, reschedule if needed. It's a whole thing. But instead, your AI agent jumps in on the call and calls them directly, confirming the appointment details or even handling a reschedule on the fly. Need to send reminders? Done. Need to let them know what to bring and prepare? Easy. If they're missing something, the agent can go and place an order or make a call to get it for them. It's like having a smart, reliable assistant that never sleeps and never forgets a detail. Well, I think I'm good for right now, so I'll talk to you later, buddy. Anyway, so you can set up these AI agents to do a ton of different things. I personally don't use these very much. I use more of my GPT agents or things that I've written custom. But just for voice cloning and vocal reproduction, I think Play-ht is a really, really good platform to do those types of things. Okay, so we've done some basic work with ChatGPT and learned some more advanced techniques with it as well too. We've also done some image generation techniques also and some automations. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into a little bit more advanced territory with our AI automation. We're going to work on AI and scripts written in a programming language called Python. Now, this isn't a course on coding or development, but this is a course to show you how you can use AI to write certain scripts to perform certain functions that require little to no knowledge of programming at all. And so we're going to do that using a couple of tools. The first one is bland.ai. This is a service that allows you to place AI phone calls. And the second one is v0.dev. This is a GPT that's specifically for writing and developing code, as well as bug testing and troubleshooting. So it's kind of like a custom GPT that's built specifically for writing code. Now, in order to get this, we got to get a couple things done first. So we're going to need to go to download Python. And you can go to Google and type in Python download, or just go to python.org. From here, we go to the download page, all releases, and we want to download Python 3.132. I'll be walking through this demo for the Windows operating system, but there are Mac equivalents as well too for anybody who is using a Mac. And then I download the file. So what we want to do is we want to make sure, especially on Windows, we want to make sure that we click on this add python.exe to path and then install now. Okay, cool. So we're done downloading Python. The next thing we're going to download is something called Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is what we call an integrated development environment, or an IDE. It's something that helps us write code and understand code and interpret code as well too. So in order to do that, we're going to go to code.visualstudio.com/download. And then we'll be downloading the Windows version as well too. Again, this is available for Mac and Linux also. But this one we're going to be specifically doing just the Windows version. We're going to just walk through and accept the agreements. We're going to make sure add to path is there as well too. I'm going to create a desktop icon and install. Now this will take a little bit of time to install, but it should be pretty quick. Once it's finished installing, we want to make sure that we're launching Visual Studio. Great. And from here, we'll want to go to this icon here called extensions. I want to click on that, and then I want to search for Python. Should be the first one. So we're going to install this Python extension here, and that automatically also installs this Pylance as well too. What this Python extension does, it allows us to use IntelliSense, it allows us to actually have better formatting for Python, just offer a bunch of tools that help us with our Python code. So there are a couple of things that are happening at the same time. You see that we're downloading this Python extension, this Pylance extension, and as well as a Python debugger. These are essentially tools that help us write and interpret our Python code within Visual Studio Code. And now that that's done, we're going to minimize this. We're going to go back and we're going to download one more thing, and that is called Anaconda. Anaconda is a special distribution or version of Python that comes with pre-installed packages and tools for us to use that offers a lot more flexibility than just the regular Python. It also comes with the Conda packet manager, which will help us install specific packages and requirements that we're going to need in the future as well, in a way that's a little easier than just a regular Python distribution. In order to do that, we're going to go to anaconda.org and download it. We follow the instructions, Windows installation. We'll just go to anaconda.com/download. We're going to skip registration and then download the Windows version. All right, from there, once that Anaconda is finished downloading, we're going to make sure that we're adding Anaconda to the... Okay, great. Anaconda is finished downloading. So I'm going to click next and finish this. Uncheck these and finish. What we're going to do is we're going to write a very simple, very basic code in Python just to make sure that our code is working. So I'm going to come here and create a new file. And I'm going to name this file test.py. .py is the basic Python extension. It's a way to let your computer know that you're using a Python file. So I'll create that in my documents folder here. Perfect. So just to make sure that the installer is working, I'm going to put print, and then this is a test. And that's my basic file. This print statement prints whatever is in between these quotation marks. So now in order to run this, I'm going to run it in my Anaconda prompt. So I'm going to press the Windows key and then type in Anaconda. I will see Anaconda prompt. Make sure you're not using the Navigator or the PowerShell. Anaconda prompt, I click here. And once that finishes loading up, this is the directory that we're currently in right now. And this is where my actual test.py file is. So in order to get there, I have to go into the documents folder. So I'm going to type cd, which is the directory I want to go to, documents. And now I'm in the correct place where this is. So just to verify, I'm going to look at all the files in that directory by typing dir for directory. And it shows me right here is my test file. So now in order to run a Python script, the Anaconda prompt, I'm going to write Python and then the name of the actual script, which is test.py. And then there's my print. This is a test. Perfect. And so now we're ready to actually run Python code on our system. In the next lecture, we'll go over Bland.ai, which is a AI phone calling application that we can tie in to our Python code to do things automatically using AI. Now, we are going to go ahead and go to Bland.ai to try to create our Bland.ai account. So from here, we're going to go to Bland.ai and we're going to sign up for an account. Now, signing up for a Bland account is free. You will have to have a couple of credits on there to make a phone call, but that's pretty. So we'll just sign up right here. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in with my account. So we go to send call, and you'll be greeted with this basic form here. And essentially this says what phone number you're trying to call, the voice of the person who is going to be calling, and we can click through a number of different voices here. I'm going to play Kaylee's voice, see if I like that.
Hey, this is Blandy. How can I help today?
Allie. Let's go with June. Let's go with Paige. Let's listen to June.
Hey, this is Blandy. How can I help today?
We're going to go with Paige.
Hey, this is Blandy. How can I help today?
Perfect. And now what I'm going to do is, let's say that I need a call to figure out what time what the business hours on the upcoming holiday is. Say you are Paige. You are some basic background information. There's some other settings here as well too. I want to wait for the person to say hello on the other end. So I want to use just the core model. It has like a super fast model as well too. Let's try the fast model. I want to wait for a greeting because otherwise it'll just kind of start talking immediately. This the temperature and the interruption threshold is two very important settings. I want to make sure that the value between 1 and 0, it accounts for the randomness of the responses. 0 follows rules better and 1 is more creative. I want Paige to have a little bit of personality, so I'm going to turn it up to 0.7. By default, if there's just a little bit of speech on the other end, the AI will interrupt what it's saying. So I want to make it a little less tolerance to interruptions. So my interruption threshold will adjust how patient the AI is when waiting for users to finish speaking. A lower value means the AI will respond more quickly. Higher value means the AI will wait longer before responding. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Probably need for right now. So I'm going to send the call to the super duper mark because let's say I just need to know what time they close. The good thing about Bland AI is that it also keeps the transcripts of each call, so I can read them later or even look at them as they're going on live. So no surprise, just for this example, it's calling my own phone, and I'm going to put on speakerphone to hear what the interaction is. Remember, I am a member of the super duper market. Super duper market, where every day is a super day. How may I help you?
I'm calling to ask what time the super duper market closes on the upcoming holiday.
Well, the next upcoming holiday is Easter, and up until Easter Sunday, we'll be open 24 hours. However, on Easter Sunday, we close this year at 6 p.m.
So just to make sure, on Easter Sunday, you'll be closing at 6 p.m., right?
That's correct.
All right, thanks for letting me know. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
I can end the call myself or remotely here as well, too. So if I'm calling someone else, I might not even be able to hear, but I can actually see and look at the full call details in the call log. Okay, so we've installed Anaconda, we've installed Python, we've installed VS Code, and we've actually even ran a very basic Python script. We've even learned about Bland.ai, which is an AI phone calling service. So how do we tie all this together? Well, a couple things you might have noticed from Bland.ai is that right here, they have the code that kind of runs this phone call. And if you click here, you can see that there's a couple of different languages that this code works in. JavaScript, Python, curl. We're going to click on Python and you can see this is the Python code that runs this script. So what I'm going to do is, rather than just copying and pasting this, because you might not have any actual understanding of how this works, we're going to use a tool called v0.dev. And again, like I mentioned before, v0 is a AI service that allows you to interact with a chatbot that helps you write custom code, helps you debug, helps you test. So think of it like a custom GPT that's built specifically for coding and deploying code. In order to get there, we're going to go to v0.dev, and we're going to sign up for an account. The accounts are free with limited usage, but for what we're doing, a free account will work just fine. I have an account already, so I'm going to just sign in. Once we're logged into V0 using our Vercel account, we'll be greeted with this here. So now I'm going to, great. This is a screen that should look very familiar to us. It looks just a lot like ChatGPT. But before I really start with the V0, I'm going to grab one thing from Bland real quick. So I switch over to bland.ai. And if I come down here, if I click here, I'll see settings. Once I click on settings, I'll see API keys. Now what an API key is essentially a key that lets us connect to our Bland account from external applications. In this case, it'll be our Python script. That API key will allow us access to the services that we have on bland.ai through Python. So I'm going to click on API key, and I'm going to generate a new API key. Now, when you click on the new API key, you'll see that this key is only shown exactly one time. I want to copy this key, and I want to save it somewhere where I can use it for later. Again, this key is not going to be shown to you again for safety reasons. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to head over to Visual Studio. In Visual Studio, I'm going to create a new file, and this is what I'm going to write. I'm going to write bland_key equals, and then I'm going to paste the key that I got from Bland. From here, I'm going to save the file. And in that folder, I'm going to save this file as .env. This is a special type of file called an environmental file. And this environment file we have a lot of key information about our actual Python script. That way, we're not hard coding really important information like our API keys into the script. Our script is going to access the .env file and read the API key, so it's not exposed in the actual script itself. Once I press save, you'll see that the colors change because Visual Studio recognizes this env file and understands that Bland key is going to be our variable or shorthand for our longer full key. Great. Now I can switch over to V0 again. For V0, I want to talk to it just like I talked to ChatGPT. I want to customize the caller, the user for this information, and then place the call. Okay, so what I'm going to ask here is I'm asking for Vercel or V0. I'm asking for V0 to create me a Python script that uses Bland AI, my API key, to customize a call, a target, a message, a task, and some backstory. And it's all going to ask me these things, take this information in, and then place the call. So I'm going to send that, and it shows Bland, it understands what Bland is, and it creates my Python script shown here. Now, this makes perfect sense to me. I do programming, but let's just make this a little bit more simple for those of you who don't understand programming. So I'm in my chat box here, I'm going to say, this looks great. However, going on, if I choose to learn. And then it's going to say, okay, cool. And it's going to add the code to those sections. It's going to redo it. And this might be a lot for people, but again, it's surprising how little you could know as long as you kind of know what you want to do, and AI can help you get the rest of the way there. So if you want like a very robust code script, you can do this and it'll kind of give everything there. But let's say you want to keep it really simple. Let's say on second thought, this is really intimidating. Let's keep it as simple as possible. Right? And then I'm going to, let's say, let's shorten the code and op. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this whole code, and I'm going to go back to Visual Studio. I'm going to create a new file, I'm going to save it as bland.py. And then I'm going to paste the code from V0 and then save again. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this code. So if I go back to my Anaconda prompt and I type in my directory dir, I will see my env file is there. I will see my bland.py is there. Oh, we have a problem. So the problem is that this env file is being saved as a text file. It should not be saved as a text file. It should just be .env, and that's it. So we're going to try to correct this. I'm going to go to open file, and I see this env file is stored as a text file. I want to open this. Open. And then I want to save this as, save as. I want to scroll down to no extension. env, no extension, and then I want to save. Boom. Now I go into the actual folder where this is in my documents folder. This is what I want. I want an env file, not a text file. I could delete that text file because that's not needed. Perfect. Now I'm ready to run my code. So I go to Anaconda. I can look at my directory again. I see the env file is just the env file. Perfect. And now I'm going to write Python bland.py, and this should run my code. Caller name. Who's the caller? The caller is Paige. Gender, male or female? I'm going to say male. Phone number to call. Do you want to place the call? I'm going to say yes. We have an error here. Now, we're having a problem with the voice that's being recognized. Now, we're getting the same error. And so I say got the same error. But I want to add this. I want to make it so that it chooses a default voice if it can't find another one, instead of just failing. That way, it'll just make sure it just picks anything if it doesn't work. Place this call, yes. Placing call, voice not found. Trying default voice. Call placed successfully. Looky, looky. All right, I'm going to put on speakerphone again. Hey, China speaking. Who's this?
You could help me out. I've heard it's a pretty complex field, but I'm eager to learn. Where do you think I should start?
May I ask who's speaking, please?
I apologize for not introducing myself properly earlier. My name is Price. Nice to speak with you, Uchenna.
Hey, how's it going? What do you need, Price?
It's going well. Thanks for asking. I'm calling because I'm interested in getting started with artificial intelligence, and I was hoping you could offer some guidance.
Well, I think the best place to get started with artificial intelligence is taking Uchenna Anyakam and Anyam Insights course on AI Mastery. Available now.
That sounds like a great resource. Can you tell me a bit more about the course? Like, what topics it covers and what I can expect to learn from it?
As a matter of fact, Price, if you go to www.anyaminsights.com/courses, all the information you need is going to be right there. Thanks for talking.
You're welcome, Uchenna. I appreciate the help. I'll definitely check out the website. Thanks again for your time, and have a great evening.
All right, you too. Bye. And that's it. Right? So, had our first call that's placed using our Python script and our API. Now, what's cool about this is I can go to my call logs and I can actually click on the call log to see what was said. Hello, Uchenna there. Yes, who's speaking? And this is my entire call log. This is my entire call log for who called and everything. And so you can even set it to record calls as well too. So even though I didn't access it through the bland.ai website, it still recorded the information using my API key. And that is how you do your first integration between Python, V0 for coding and bug fixing, and Bland.ai. One thing I want to show you real quick is that you can actually use Bland.ai to create your own voice. And what I'm going to do is in the supplementary material, I'm going to have a extra video on how to use Bland.ai to record your own voice, and also provide you a script that allows you to call people with your own voice as well too. So check for those in the resources for this lesson, and that's it. We've used automation tools like IFTTT to trigger actions based off of certain events that happen. And we've used AI in order to generate content dynamically based off of those triggers. So what we're going to do now is we're going to combine what we've learned from our API integration with Visual Studio Code, Python, and v0.dev, along with Bland.ai, and combine that with automation. So we're going to need a couple tools to get this done. What am I talking about? Automated program execution using AI. So here's how we get started. I'm going to open up my browser and go to google.com. The application we're going to be working with is called Push-to-Run. It's a really neat application made by a single developer that has been really making just really handy tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first link, which is Push-to-Run. It's a GitHub link. And again, GitHub is a repository for developers to kind of store and allow their code to be downloaded and used by others. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to look for this Windows installer. And again, this is only for the Windows operating system. For Mac or Linux, there's other tools that do something similar, but right now we're going to just focus on Windows. Once it opens, I'm going to install it and agree to licensing information. Now, this is a very small program, so it takes a very quick amount of time to install. And I'm going to open it. So here's Push-to-Run settings, and what we want to do is we want to come down here to where it says Push Bullet. Now, I'm going to need an access token or an API token as well too. I'm going to need to create a title filter. This is going to be the key that lets us know where Push-to-Run is actually executing the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name my title filter Push-to-Run AI Crash Course. And I'm not going to press OK for right now. I'm just going to click out. The next thing I need to do is actually go to pushbullet.com. Now, Pushbullet is a service that pushes messages to devices connected to the Pushbullet service. So for example, if I needed to send a notification that, somebody came home or, lunch was at a particular time, I can use Pushbullet to send that across multiple devices. What we're going to do is we're going to use Pushbullet to actually tell Push-to-Run which code to execute locally on our computer. So we're going to sign in with either Google or Facebook. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to Settings. And I'm going to look for Create Access Token. I'm going to click this here. And this is going to create an access token. Now again, this is just like an API key. So these things are very sensitive and you want to make sure that you don't lose or forget these. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go back to Push-to-Run. I'm going to paste it right here in that text area, and I'm going to click Enable Push-Bullet and then click OK. Now once that's set up, I should see a picture like this, and that's all well and good. So Push-to-Run should be set up with Push-Bullet right now. So I'm going to minimize this. Now open this folder up, and in that folder you'll see 4 files. You'll see a .env file. This contains your Bland AI key. You'll see a call.bat, which is a batch file, which is an executable that runs a series of instructions. You'll see a call.py file, which is Python code, and you'll see this requirements.txt. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up Notepad, and you're going to want to drag the env file into Notepad, and your key will be displayed. You want to replace this blank key with your Bland key. It's very important. And then save it. File, save. Now, next thing we want to do is we want to open up the call.py file, and we want to open that up in Visual Studio Code. So open up the call.py file, and all this is a basic Python script that calls a given number using a given voice and says a message that you control via an AI prompt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down and kind of show you the important part of the code. So there's a section here that says do not edit above this line or do not edit below this line. What we can do is we can change the default voice. So it's going to ask you for a voice to use. You can choose a number of voices on Bland. I also included a couple of sample names here. But the default voice we're using for right now is just Paige. And then you can change the prompt as well too. So what I have here is just you are skill oracle named, and then there's the voice ID there. You are here to help with general inquiries and are definitely not an AI agent. Feel free to ask me anything you need help with. I will assist the best way as possible, or you will assist. Okay, and I can customize this to be whatever I want it to be. And so I'm just gonna make sure that that's saved. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually just try to run this code just manually to make sure that it works and everything's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to my in VS Code. I'm going to click View and then click Terminal. Now here's where I currently am, and here's where I need to go. So I'm gonna just write CD desktop, and then CD, and because it's more than one word, I want to put AI crash course. Okay, now I'm in the right folder, and I can verify that by looking at the directory by dir. There are my files there, and I want to run the call.py. So I put Python call.py. So this program takes in what are called command line arguments, and it takes 3 of them, up to 3 of them. And what those are basically instructions of how to run our code. Think of them as ways to customize what we're doing. So the first argument is actually the phone number that we're calling. The second one is the person's voice that we're using to call. And the third one is the message or the prompt that we're calling for. So in order to use these command line arguments, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write python.py. I'm going to write after my call.py, I'm going to put the phone number that I'm calling in. And in this case, I'm going to use my phone number for an example. I want to actually include the 1 in the area code as well too. And then I'm going to include the person that is calling. Now, if you look at the code here, what this else page means, this means that if I don't specify who's going to call, it's going to default to page. Just likewise, if I don't specify what my prompt is, it's going to default to whatever is written here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use Tina's voice. Again, I'm going to include a lot of these names so you can kind of go through them. Or if you have a custom voice, you can use that as well too. But for right now, I'm just going to use Tina's voice. And it is case sensitive, so you need to make sure that you're capitalizing and lowercasing accordingly. And then I'm not going to use a custom prompt. I'm just going to use one that's in the file as well right now. So I'm going to press OK and then run the code. What this should do is it should call my phone as Tina and execute the prompt as it's specified in my code. I press enter. And the first thing I notice is I get an error. The error is no module name request found. Now, request, the very top of the document, there's 2 files that we actually need right here, the request and the .env file. And essentially what those are is those are actually packages or kind of custom tools that we need in order to run this. If you recall, in our folder, there is a file called requirements.txt. And in this file are exactly the names of the packages that we need to install this program and run it correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install them. And in order to do that, we run it with this command here. I make sure I'm in the right folder where the text file is. I write pip or pip install -r requirements.txt. And that'll install each of the packages that are in that requirement. And I spelled requirements wrong, so make sure you spell it correctly. Requirements.txt. And it goes through and it installs those packages. Great, now it's done. So I should be able to press up a couple times to get my Python call. I'm right here again. I'm going to call my phone number as Tina with the default message. Press enter. And as you can see, it says the voice is Tina. Here's the prompt, and it's calling my phone number. And there's the call.
Hello, I'm your skilled Oracle. How can I assist you today?
Oh, I'm just checking to see if this integration of using Python and other tools work correctly.
Is there anything else I can help you with, or would you like to end the call?
Let's end this call.
Goodbye. Have a great day.
Great. So we know our code works. Now on to the tricky part. We want to run this code remotely. And in order to do that, we're going to need to use this batch file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Notepad and let's take a look inside of it. I'm going to drag this call.bat file in here. And as you'll see this directory. So this is the directory where this call.py folder is. What I can do is I can just click up here and then just copy this and then replace this, leaving the CD. This lets the batch file know where it's actually getting the program from. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. So anytime this batch file is executed, it's going to go to this folder and execute this Python script, which calls the code and sends it the 3 arguments. What I want to do is I want to take push to run and enable push to run to execute this batch file for me whenever a certain trigger happens. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to IFT. Now I'm going to go to create. Our trigger is going to be a date and time. So at a particular date and time, let's say every day I press connect. This is going to connect it immediately to where I am. Let's say every day at 4 p.m. Every day at 4 p.m. I want to actually make this phone call. I'm going to go to my trigger services and I'm going to search for push bullet, which is right here. I click on that and I want to choose push a note. That's the action that I'm going to be doing. And I want to connect. Now, if I'm still connected to push bullet and still sign in, all I need to do is approve. Otherwise, it'll tell me to kind of re-sign in again. I can approve, and now I'm in. Now here's my email, and we have a title and a message. Now, this part is very particular, so we have to pay attention. For the title of this note, what we're going to do is we're going to go into push to run, which is in the taskbar. I double click that. We're going to go to file. We're going to go to options, and then we're going to go to push bullet. Whatever we put here is the title. Now, sometimes this gets really stubborn and it doesn't want to copy. So I right click to copy and it won't copy it. And if that doesn't work, which sometimes it doesn't, you need to make sure that you write this in exactly as you see it. Push to run AI crash course. If it's not exactly, it won't work. And then for the message, here's where push to run comes in. I'm going to go back to push to run, say okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to actions and add. I'm going to add an action. Now for the description, I'm going to say place a phone call. And I'm going to listen for something particular. So I'm going to write -CAL, so dash call. What this means is that any message that push bullet pushes to my computer, if it starts with this dash call, then push to run is going to execute whatever that message says. So dash call, and then I'm going to write a $sign. A $sign is like anything after the dash call we're going to send and we're going to use. So for the start directory, I'm going to choose the directory where my batch file is. And the file that I want to open is the call.bat. From here, I want to go to parameters and also put a $sign there as well too. So I'll press OK. Now from here, what we're going to do in the message for push bullet is I'm going to write dash call, the listen, and then I'm going to include the telephone number, again, my phone number, as well as the caller. I'm going to go to create action. And then I'm going to continue. And then every day at 8 o'clock, make a call and press finish. Now, every day at 8 o'clock, at 4 p.m., it will go ahead and push a note that will tell push bullet to run the bat file with our particular parameters. And those parameters are the phone number and the person calling. If I wanted to include the prompt in there, I could as well too. So what we're going to do is I'm going to simulate that call. Now I can't sit here and wait until 4 p.m. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate this running with another trigger. There's the phone call.
Thank you for calling. How can I assist you today?
Oh, just calling to check if this test program worked fine. And I think it did. So appreciate it. And so that's how that works. Simple application here. And all we're doing is based off of a trigger calling a Python script that's run through a batch code that sends a message to our Bland API and makes a call on our behalf using AI. And truth be told, you might run into some problems kind of getting this up and running. Every system is a little different. So feel free to ask ChatGPT or any of the other services like what exactly is being done wrong, or you can contact me as well too. And so yeah, there you go. There you have your first automated AI voice call service. Hope you had a lot of fun building it.